Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. That is Alan Ruff. We brought him on as a new presenter on the programme. We had the old Alan Ruff, but this is the all-new Alan Ruff, back off holiday. Who takes a holiday when the season has already started? Something that Alison mentioned only last week. She was really uptight about the whole thing. And Tam, who's been here and hoping that Ruffy would have been in quarantine for another couple of weeks so you could have got a shift every day.
Or death. I would have done me. And I got me an extra 5 shifts, but he's here.
Absolutely. We had changed the actual graphic to the Peter and Tam show just on the off chance that you weren't going to make it, Ruffy, but thankfully you're here with us, which is fantastic. Great to have you along. It's an unbelievable weekend, not only football in Scotland, but I have to say I did go down to see the number 7 down at Old Trafford. I've never experienced anything like it, and there you have it. There's Cristiano Ronaldo, the top. We'll be giving that away from tomorrow on the show, with the match day programme as well, which I think is absolutely superb. It's going to be one of those prizes, I think, well worth it, especially for the cost of the shirt, Ruffy. My God, Manchester United have paid for Ronaldo, let me tell you, without a shadow of doubt. It's been absolutely incredible just watching it. Just close to, I mean, you could spend close to 100, over 100 if you wanted the full strip, Tam.
Yeah, that's where they make the money into it. You know, you sign guys like Messi and Ronaldo, you know you're going to get the money back in the shirt sales and advertising and sponsors. So it's a nice top, but I like it. It's nice. You
could win it on the programme tomorrow. Hopefully you'll tune in for that and cover us on our social media as well, Twitter and Facebook, to find out all the details. Lots to talk about here in the company of Alison, Tam McManus and Ruffy. Great to have you back, Ruffy. Keeper stealing the show in the Edinburgh Derby we're going to be talking about. Does Ajeti have something to prove at Celtic? Is Tavernier's strike the goal of the weekend in Scotland? It'll be hard pressed to find a better one. What's happened to Aberdeen? We'll be speaking to Andrew Shiney. They are on a poor run at the moment, and we'll look at the return of the Magnificent Seven. The United fans get their take on that unbelievable return to Old Trafford for Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's all to look forward to. But the main key point is Rangers are top of the table, back at the top, the champions, after their win, a hard-fought win against St Johnstone. Here's how that result fits into all the other scores from the Scottish Premiership. As you can see, St Johnstone 1, Rangers 2, Celtic 3-0 winners over Ross County. Dundee against Livingston, you couldn't separate them, couldn't get a goal. Lee Griffiths in the front line for Dundee as well. At Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. What a result for the Well. St Mirren and Dundee United was a stalemate, and as was Hearts against Hibs. Couldn't separate them, Ruffy. It was all about the goalkeepers there, Matt Macy and Craig Gordon. Superb.
Yeah, we talk about it on the show on numerous occasions, and now it's becoming even more noticeable now. If you want to do anything, you need to have top-class goalkeepers. They're the ones that get you the point or get you the win, and these two certainly got their teams the points they deserved at the weekend there. Some of the saves were fantastic, and all at the right time. A lot of them weren't like mega saves, they were just saves, they know, that keep your team in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Gordon, again, the question will never go away now. How Celtic let him go is beyond belief, Ali.
I think it's one that would haunt them now, I think, in retrospect. I think especially when you not only see the performances that he's produced subsequently, but also you hear a manager saying, I think he can go well into his 40s. I heard Craig Gordon talking about doing his Tom Brady and playing on, and certainly physically he looks more than capable of it. You forget he lost a few years of his career to injury, to serious injury, and you just wonder actually in some way if it benefits the longevity of his career, and that he had a rest, substantial rest at key periods, and you know, there looks no sign of him abating anytime soon.
Yeah, I must admit though, Tam, I was watching the first 10-15 minutes and I thought, 32 free kicks, the ball's in the air, this is going to be rank rotten. And then eventually football did break out. We started to get some chances in the game. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I thought it was a great game actually. For 0-0, you know, usually a 0-0 you're just thinking of a terrible game, but I thought both teams went at it. I thought Hibs started the better side, got the ball down early, and were more composed. But Hearts grew into the game, and You know, Ben Woodburn I thought was excellent for them. I thought Hearts were excellent as well. I thought the two Edinburgh sides, you know, they'll be battling out for third. I think Aberdeen have got to improve a fair bit to get up to kind of Hibs and Hearts. Hibs have built a team, built a squad over the last 2 years with Jack Ross. Robbie Nielsen's brought in what he had to bring in, I think, in the summer. So I think that both Edinburgh teams, both sets of supporters would have went home happy yesterday. I think both sets of players gave everything. 0-0, a draw was a fair result. Both goalkeepers had some tremendous saves, but I thought it was a great advert for Scottish football. Yeah,
well, Jack Ross, the Hibs boss, reckons his side are definitely going in the right direction.
Well, I think now we're 43 league games consecutively, we've never came out of the top four. So all of last season, 38 games, we never came out of that top four. We've started the season, and it's very early this season, I accept that. But you don't do that unless you're a team that is good enough to challenge at that. And I think what I'd say is anybody watching the game today around the league would look at two teams that I think will be difficult to beat. That's good for Edinburgh, but for us certainly it's just a further indication of how we're trying to grow as a team and as a squad.
Yeah, once they settled down, Ruffy, they started to play some nice football and created chances, which again, Gordon was the last line of defence for Hearts.
Yeah, I thought, as we said, both goalkeepers were extra, but I thought a lot of the play was good. You know, in terms of saying that, the passing was good, it was sharp. And I think the good thing about it is this is the first year for a long, long time we've now got a challenge coming for Hibs and Hearts. I'm not saying they're going to win the league or anything like that, but now Celtic and Rangers are going to come up against teams that are going to have to be really on top form to beat, because they have got their act together, the both of them. And I think it'll make the league a lot more encouraging. If Aberdeen could get their act together, we'd have three teams, you know, trying to put a wee bit of pressure on Rangers and Celtic, and that can only be good for the league.
Yeah, no surprise Robbie Nielsen was quick to praise both goalkeepers.
I think that's one of the reasons both teams are up joint second in the leagues, because we've got two good goalies. You know, Craig is an exceptional goalie, and I thought Macy today put in a great performance. It's just run a mill for Craig, to be honest with you. You know, we see it every day in training, so you know, when someone has a shot, I expect him to save it.
Yeah, it's just run of the mill. Craig Gordon making great saves. He's been superb, and who would bet against him playing well into his 40s? So that was Hearts and Hibs. One of them, if they'd got the victory, would have remained at the top of the table. It wasn't to be, because Rangers, quite simply, are back on top. Alison, it was 2-1. It started well for St Johnstone. Michael O'Halloran with a nice strike.
I thought it was quite a stodgy game. I think sometimes you get that post-international week. I think almost if you have players away and then you're coming back and trying to get back into it, but it was an incredible goal that won it. I think it just a little bit of creativity, a bit of magic to conjure something out of nothing and just take the points at a point in the game when I think St Johnstone would have been looking to hang on for the draw.
Yeah, as far as goals are concerned, I'm just looking there. I think the penalty. Any debate over the penalty?
No, it's a definite penalty kick. I think he's took the legs away from the player, and it's a definite penalty. Why was Tavernier not on the penalties?
Yeah, good point.
That was a strange one. I thought, you know,
He missed the last one, no?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I just thought it was unusual that Roof went and took the penalty kick. But the second goal was, you know, that's a wonderful goal. I mean, he's bent it. He knows exactly what he's doing. Up, dipped over the goalkeeper. Xander Clark, who knows the top goalkeeper, nowhere near it. A goal fit to win any game. So I think Rangers over the piece probably just about deserved to win the game.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere, mobbed as well. Two sides for Rangers, two sides for St Johnstone. Just shows you how the Perth fans have responded. Of course, as you mentioned there, that goal. This is what Stephen Gerrard had to say about Tavernier's strike. Because it was special. That's the reason why James Tavernier is captain. He's got the quality which allows him to step up in big moments. He's got his 3 points today instead of one. There's a lot of noise around Nathan Patterson. He's a tremendous player who's going to be Rangers right back for a long time. But we have to remember we have the best right back in Scotland as well. I don't think you get any argument with that. I mean, that goal from Tavernier, I don't think there's not too many people who actually thought this is on.
Yeah, well, there's not many teams, you know, have fullbacks who win you games. You know, it's generally the striker that wins you the game. But when you've got somebody like that who gets himself into these kind of positions, and he's got a track record of scoring for there. But that one at the weekend was exceptional, as Tam said. It was up and then over the keeper and then down again. So yeah, I mean, we sit here and we all say, oh, this boy Parsons good enough. Why is he not playing? Why didn't he let Tavernier go? But it just shows you why, you know, the manager thinks so much of him and he gives so much to the team.
Now, the big problem here is Lyon, Thursday, Europa League. Suddenly you've got Connor Goldston who's out, Nathan Patterson, and Helander looks as if he's picked up a bad one as well. So they're going to be hard-pressed again with injuries and people being excluded from the game.
I think it's incredible how it can sometimes only take 2 or 3 injuries to expose how limited a squad can look, particularly when you have players going out in key areas and in the same area, and all of a sudden you think you're scrambling for cover. I think that will be an incredibly tough game regardless. I think it would have been a very difficult night on Thursday for Rangers, even with a full quota of players. I saw Moussa Dembele's goal at the weekend. I'm sure he'll be quite excited and expecting a fairly warm welcome when he comes back to Glasgow on Thursday. But I think it'll be a really tough night for them this week.
Yeah, but again, being involved is the key to it all. And again, you're talking about these European nights. Okay, everybody wants it to be Champions League football, but it's Europa League for Rangers and Celtic. The place will be bouncing. Lyon are still a really good calibre side who would be, under any normal circumstances, year in, year out, one of those teams you would associate with the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've got a big budget. They're a top team in France, and listen, Rangers will need to play better than they did against Malmo. There's no doubt about that. The expectation from the supporters on Thursday will be to win the game. It doesn't matter who comes to Ibrox. Supporters expect them to win, so they'll need to lift their performance levels. I don't know what they're going to do at centre back. They've got a real crisis there. Maybe they'll move Bassi in, maybe move him in and bring Barisic back in. But they're a wee bit light at the back at Rangers. But I think it'll be a tough game for them. But I also think it'll be a tough game for Lyon.
Yeah, okay. We'll get your predictions later on in the week on the Europa League, and we'll look in greater detail at Rangers and the squad that Steven Gerrard has available to him. What do you think about Rangers' performance against St Johnstone? Give us your view on that on our feed on our YouTube channel. And of course, as ever, if you want to stay up to date with what's happening, we have on PLZ Soccer's Facebook all the latest clips, as well as on the show on a daily basis. And if you want the latest news, all you have to do is download the PLZ Soccer app in Google Play and in the App Store, and not only will you get the programme live, but you'll get a lot of our unique video content and all the breaking stories as well. Celtic 3-0 against Ross County. Suddenly you're thinking Kyogo's out, they might toil, but up steps the forgotten man, Albion Ajeti, Ruffy, to score a couple.
Yeah, and it looks to me that it's service he needs. I think previously he wasn't getting the proper service into the box. Now he's got 2 wide guys who are getting into decent positions and firing magnificent balls into the box, whether it's high, it's low. And all you've got to be is a decent striker, as Tam will tell you. You just need to be in the right place at the right time. And he has now got the knack of being in the right place. So I really do, for the boy, I hope it really sets off, because there's obviously a bit of pressure on him now with the strikers that have come in. So the goals, he'll accept them. The second one, he was there, he was in the right place at the right time. But for me, it's all about the wide men. The wide men were absolutely exciting. If you're at that game, it's great to see guys like that with pace and taking on people and going by them, and it just makes the game a different game to watch.
Yeah, well, at the end of it, you would have been surprised if Albion Ajeti decided to have a wee pop at everybody. Quite a number of journalists were asking him, does he feel as if he has something to prove this season, and he was having none of it.
Nothing, because I've been training very well. I've been working very hard every day, so don't need to prove anyone something. Yeah, if I can play, if I can have my starts in games, I will score. Because we're playing a very high offensive football, high pressing, which we can create many chances, and obviously we will score lots of goals. Doesn't matter who score, but we have the chances, and I'll be there, and anyone else is there to score the goals.
Well, maybe as Ruffy mentioned there, Alison, we're doing him a disservice, because if you have wingers who are going to cross the ball in regularly now, as Kyogo has proved when Tom Rogic found him in the European game too, if you're getting service into that box, maybe we're quick to judge Ajeti. Maybe there's something there.
Well, the first thing you would say is he emerged in a season that was fairly chaotic. I think there were problems everywhere last term for Celtic on the pitch, and things disintegrated hugely. I'm sure it's quite a daunting environment to play in and be in when it's not going well. But I have to say, I was probably like many people, I was quite surprised to see him come back in. I thought the indications were that he wasn't featuring much in the manager's plans. Things have obviously changed given the injuries and players who have departed. So what he has now is an opportunity. It's up to him to go and show that he has something to offer. I think Celtic paid, what was it, £5 million for him. There's clearly a striker there. I'm sure he'll be delighted with the fact that he came in and took 2 goals and come straight back into the team and contributed in that way. And it's his now. For the next month at least, you would suspect he'll get an opportunity to stay in.
And of course, you mentioned there all the upheaval of last season. It hasn't gone away. Dom Mackay certainly raised a few eyebrows. He says personal reasons. Now everybody's on the mad speculation about why he did indeed decide to go. Michael Nicholson takes over as CEO. Whether that's a long-term move, only time will tell. But it's caused a fair bit of upheaval. The fans, some fans have had their say on it, unveiling a banner. This is, of course, in the section that houses the Green Brigade, a board like no other. Well, did he go because quite simply he wasn't getting the freedom that he thought he was going to get as CEO?
I think that's what the perception seems to be at the minute. I think you would have to be mindful that as we speak now, we've heard maybe quite a fair bit about one side of things. I'm not sure when or if the full picture will emerge. I'm sure both parties would have something to say on it. I certainly think there were glimpses and accusations or finger pointing, if you want to say, about negotiating elements over the summer. I think there were tensions over the structure and infrastructure of the club and how it was going to be modernised and perhaps maybe a perception that he didn't have the full control that he might have wanted to have, that there was maybe some buffering within the club. I'm not sure if all that is entirely correct, but that seems to be what's being told at the minute. There was maybe a bit of a power struggle going on behind the scenes. I do wonder too about Gordon Strachan's return to Celtic and maybe the impact that might have had on things and just a feeling of people treading on one another's toes. Yeah,
that's certainly the story that I'm getting fed to me at the moment. But whether Dom Mackay will actually come out and tell his side of the story, I have my doubts about that. It could be quite a while if we're waiting for it. Of course, Ange Postecoglou was asked about the banners in that particular section, and in true Aussie fashion, I think he was more than happy to accommodate everybody in their point of view.
I saw some other banners as well. I mean, I'm not going to go around reading every banner. Everyone's allowed to express their opinions. We live in a free society, and again, our job is hopefully to send our 60,000 and the millions around the world home happy today and looking forward to the next game. You know, sometimes in life you need to understand that having a little bit of how shall I say, difference of opinion is not necessarily a bad thing, you know.
Well, I liked his answer because, quite simply, Tam, if he was over in Australia and they're maybe asking him constantly about the game, he's come to a whole new world where the game sometimes is just an afterthought, isn't it?
As he obviously just wants to talk about football, and the press are going to ask him about everything, really, in Scotland. And the banners, I thought he batted it off pretty well there. You know, fans are entitled to their opinion as long as they keep it respectable, I think. And you know, I think that was respectable banners that were up at the weekend there.
Yeah. As far as Ross County are concerned, you know, I know you've been desperate to get them down into the Championship, Ruffy. But hey, I mean, they're battling away. They've had a tough start.
Yeah, they have. The fixture list hasn't been hailed, but I had a quite...
You did the fixture list, Ruffy?
No, it has fixture list. But I had a quite chuckle with his interview after it when he said, when you get chances, you've got to take them. They had 2. Celtic had about 32. You know, so the Celtic manager came out, if you take your chances, you win 10-0 or something like that. I mean, because I only seen the highlights of the Celtic game, and there was about a 4-minute clip of the highlights, and Celtic had about 15 chances.
Yeah, well, listen, I hang fire, Ruffy, because I have to tell you, it's no different from down south when I was watching Newcastle, who were like, it looked as if they were under the caution. They just picked their moments, and that's what you do when you're up against opposition that are better than you or have greater resources. And Malky Mackay, I think, was first to acknowledge, listen, calm down, have a look at the sides we've played.
When I look at the hand that we've been dealt in the first 5 games with the top 5 teams, people are saying we're not even going to make a point out of it, and I think we've gone toe to toe with every team and we've been in every game. I'll take that for the rest of the season, because going forward obviously we've got a lot of teams that are round about us.
Yep, Ross County with a tough start, and they've got a run of games coming up now, Tam, where I think they'll be thinking to themselves, this is where we'll be judged, you know, against the Dundee Uniteds, the Motherwolves, you know, the Livingstons. That's where we can pick up the points.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've had a really, really tough start. I think they've had Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hibs and St Johnstone. You know, that's a real tough start. That's the top 5-6 clubs, probably out with Hearts. So that was a really tough start for them. As you said, games coming up now. They're kind of mini league as your Livingstons and your St Mirrens. That's the teams they've got to kind of beat. Even Dundee, you know, down. It's very tight. There seems to be a top 7 now. Dundee United are just at the bottom of that, and then the rest, the bottom 5 have not won a game yet.
Yeah.
They're all running about 0 points, 1 point, 2 points. So I think there's going to be some really big games coming up and concerning that bottom 5.
Yeah, I'm worried about your pal as well, because you know, your pal's having a tough time, you know, and in fact, I have to say, Ali, since we get Andrew Shiny on this programme, they've been murdered. What's happening to Aberdeen? Ali, I sent you up for part just to try and console Andrew and try and say to him, look, it can't be that bad, because clearly he's going to need some therapy and a few chats.
It was it was an odd game, actually. I think Kevin Van Veen ran the show, but up until that first goal, I think he scored midway through the first half, up until that first goal, Aberdeen played well. Like, I thought they were fairly in control of the game. They had a couple of chances, a few half chances, even after the first goal, still in it, still creating opportunities, but then the second goes in, and the last 10 minutes was just a mad scramble trying to pull themselves back into the game. But I think that's 6 games now without a win. I think they've only kept a clean sheet in 1 game across all competition this season. I think the longer that goes, the more it festers and the harder it is to get out of it and start to build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, and Ruffy, you know, yourself, you think Aberdeen might just stave off relegation now before we hear from Andrew?
No, I do not.
They're toiling, Ruffy.
I'm summing up the same as Alison. The chances to win that game. You know, and I think whoever scored first in that game was going to obviously maybe run out winners, but it never happened for me. The main thing for me was the tit for tat with Tony Watt and Scott Brown. They were just running about, noising each other up. You know, it was, they were pushing each other off the ball, they were having wee digs at each other, there were verbals, the two of them as well. So, I mean, obviously they've got history, the two of them they know each other quite well, but I thought that was a good part of the game.
Yeah, of course, Graham Alexander, quick to praise the man who scored a great goal and made a real nuisance of himself, Kevin Van Veen.
He's a top-notch player. His ability is great to see when he produces it on those big occasions, but it's the work off the ball that we want from him, and he is doing that. You see that today. His work off the ball was exceptional, as it was with every single one of those players there, and the ones that came on, we needed them as well. So, but you know, Kev will get the plaudits. So I'm expecting, because it was a great header and a great assist for the second.
Yeah, up there in Aberdeen in the Granite City. What I think we should do, Andrew Shiny, is just basically get 4 or 5 people up there just to offer you a cuddle and comfort you that things can turn around. What's happening to your Dons?
I'd love to be able to tell you, Peter, because they can't keep a clean sheet. That's the biggest problem. Because if you keep a clean sheet, at least you're going to get a point. But we can't do that. 1 clean sheet in 12 games, and that was against Dundee United. We're not scoring goals. Alison was there, as you said, on Saturday. We had a lot of good play between the boxes, but in our own box we didn't defend well enough, and in the opposition box we didn't make Motherwell work hard enough. And I'm fixtures. The World Cup winners, St Johnstone, up here. Now, granted, they haven't won a game yet, but you always know you're going to get a tough game against a Callum Davidson side. Then we go down to Paisley to face St Mirren. Never an easy trip. Celtic at home the following Sunday, and then we've got Dundee away, Hibs at home, Rangers away, and Hearts at home, all before the end of October. That is going to be a very, very difficult run of games. And for Stephen Glass's sake, they've got to win quite a few of these games, otherwise pressure is going to start to build on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Stephen Glass, you just alluded to it there. The Aberdeen boss says, listen, we've got to change our luck.
I think people are pointing at us before the game as well, and I think it's the first time we've been beating the league. I think there's a lot of teams underneath us in the league that don't get asked the same question. We've lost one league game. We know we got knocked out of Europe by losing 2 of them. But people are going to point to things like that. That's what happens when you're at a big club. So it's up to us to try to start winning games again.
Yeah, well, Andrew, are you enthused the way Alison mentioned about the way they're playing? Do you think it's just maybe it's going to take something that will just click it into gear?
You'd like to think so, but if it was as simple as that, why has it not happened yet? You can't put it down to bad luck that they didn't score on Saturday. Liam Kelly made a couple of decent saves, but they were routine saves, to be perfectly honest. So I think we need a bit more invention in the middle of the park. There was a long time under Derek McInnes when Aberdeen used to win games 1-0 because they were so tight at the back, and you had somebody like an Adam Rooney up front who would take a half chance. But he was getting good service. At the moment, there's no service coming into the strikers of any real quality. And when you've got a congested midfield, you're needing somebody that can do just something a little bit different. A Ryan Hedges, but unfortunately he's out injured. So it's down to the others to find a way, along with the coaching staff, to be able to break down defences. I thought Motherwell were well organised at the back on Saturday, but they didn't have to burst a gut, to be perfectly honest. And it was a funny kind of start to the game, I thought, from Motherwell. They allowed Aberdeen to have plenty of possession, almost lulled them into a false sense of security, then hit them hard in the break when Van Veen scored. And once they went 1-0 up, there was only one winner, unfortunately, because Aberdeen just didn't look like they had the know-how to break down the Motherwell defence.
Yeah, if there's one worry, just before you go, Andrew, is the centre of defence. It's 2 cross balls into the box, which, Aberdeen have come a crop or two.
Well, it was funny because Declan Gallagher hasn't set the heather on fire since he came north. There's no getting away from it. Now, whether the boos that were ringing around Fir Park every time he touched the ball got to him in some way or other, I don't know. But he didn't look comfortable on Saturday. But then he hasn't looked particularly comfortable since he came to Aberdeen. David Bates came on, but it was after the 2 goals had been scored. They definitely miss Andy Considine, the central defensive position. But I was in contact with Ash Taylor over the weekend because Ash, who plays for Walsall now, scored his first goal for them, got their first win of the season, and he said, what went wrong at Fir Park? He said, I wish I'd been there to headed both these balls clear. And that is what Aberdeen are missing at the moment, is a domineering centre go and head things clear. And until such time as Gallagher, David Bates, Ross McCrory, whoever is deployed in there, somebody's got to take responsibility when a cross comes to the ball. But you saw there was no responsibility taken by anybody on Saturday, and as a result, 2 free headers, 2 goals for Motherwell.
Yeah, okay, Andrew, always good to hear what's happening up there with the Dons and get your take on it, and hear from the manager as well. We'll hear from Andrew again next Monday on the programme, and he said there's a run of games now, and it's a big October coming up for him.
No, it is. Listen, I think it's been a poor start for Aberdeen. It was a poor result at the weekend. I do think that will take time to bed these players in. They've signed a lot of players. I think he's trying to change the style totally from Derek McInnes. But I think he mentioned there Ryan Hedges. I think that they're missing him badly. I think they're missing a wee bit of guile in that final third to go and open teams up or create. And defensively, Stephen's got to sort that out. He's got to sort the 2 centre halves out because 2 balls, 2 crosses in the box at the weekend there. I think Motherwell's only 2 crosses, 2 goals. So he's really got to sort that out and quickly. Okay,
thanks to Andrew Shiney up there in Aberdeen. Other matches that we'll be talking about, of course, in the Scottish Premiership. You can give us your view. St Mirren Dundee United, you couldn't separate them in the end, Ruffy, 0-0.
Chances at either end, bit chances. Again, goalkeepers had some good saves, but I think both managers at the end of the day could probably say, if we'd take more chance, we could have won that. But I think a draw was the correct result in that one.
Yeah, okay. I'm just reading out some of the messages from a lot of people who are talking about some of the points that we've raised already. Motherwell deserve a lot more credit, says Gary Hawthorne, for that victory. It wasn't a great Aberdeen performance, but Motherwell were clinical, efficient and solid in the areas that counted. Well made, chances, and they made Aberdeen look average. And Dan, who is what I call your typical Scottish fan, says, sounds grim for Aberdeen, good, can he stand them? Well, there you are, that sums it up. Well done, Dan. That's exactly the mentality. And Paul Colville says, Glass will get sacked soon. Well, I don't know about that. I think they'll give him time, more than a fair bit of time. Bob White says, did you get a free pie at Tynecastle at the weekend? I noticed, by the way, because obviously I think Ruffy Allison especially mentioned to me the fact that you're spineless. You were in there really early.
Were you there?
Half 9 in the morning for an Edinburgh derby's early.
I was in early. I wanted to avoid the hordes, the jumbo hordes, but no, I never get that. It was fine. I think the result, nothing each, was everybody was pretty happy.
Did anybody give you pelters from?
There was a couple when I was walking it. A couple were calling me a Hibs, a kind of expletive, but no, it was all right actually. I actually seen Big Yogi. Yogi was working for the BBC, and he was about three seats along from me, so
you took the pressure off.
I knew if I was going to start Big Yogi, they'd bailed me out. The young Leaf team.
He would have, by the way, but yeah, I saw the picture, Alison. I thought, oof. Instagram, he's pretty early inside that ground. There's only one boy down there lining the pitch. I thought he doesn't want to get any flack from this one. But anyway, apart from anything else, I don't think you would have got a pie over the area you're in.
No, nothing.
Did you bring any sandwiches?
No, nothing.
You're just starving and shaking. Okay. St Mirren against Dundee United didn't produce anything. Dundee against Livingston didn't produce anything, Ali. And everybody was talking about his mate again. You know, Tam's got quite a lot of mates in Scottish football. Lee Griffiths couldn't get the goal he was craving.
No, it was interesting. He straight back in and starting a game. But I think there are question marks over his fitness, about whether or not he's going to be able to contribute on a long-term basis and playing every week. He seems to think he was. Do
you think he will?
Fit. I have my reservations.
Yeah. I must admit I share Ali's view on that. He knows this is the last chance saloon for him.
I think at that level and against the teams that were playing at the weekend, I do think he'll score goals. You know, I don't think he'll ever be where he was with Celtic. You know, that 30, 40 goals a season guy. You know, so he'll just have to live with that. I would like to see him getting in better shape, because he did look a wee bit overweight compared to the other ones. But he's still in there. He's still making chances. He's still there or thereabouts. You know, and that's what Dundee will be looking at when they come against St Mirren, Dundee United. They'll think he can get goals, and I think he will get goals. Not to the amount he used to get with Celtic.
Yeah. Confident?
I think the most important thing is getting 90 minutes. You know, I think that was his first 90 minutes in a year and a half. That's huge for him. I think, you know, the temptation would have probably for James McPeak maybe to take him off after 60, 70, but I think he's looking at a bigger picture and thinking, I need to get games, I need to get minutes into him, 90 minutes. So hopefully he recovers for that, he's fine, he's good to go again, and I've no doubt once Lee Griffiths gets 2 or 3 games, maybe 2 or 3 90 minutes under his belt, he'll be sharp and he'll be ready to bang goals in. Yeah, well, the real worry for me, especially for Livingston, was Craig Sibbald stretched off. Now, I don't know about you, but I like Sibbald as a player. I think he's a really talented boy, good lad as well.
I think he's very important too to Livingston and how they play. I think he's one of the key performers, and I think when you've got a squad like that, it's very difficult to cope when you lose a few players, and they've had quite a sticky start to the season too. I think it's the last thing that he would have needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the Premiership table to see where your team is sitting in the table and how it all looks. For Rangers fans, well, it's exactly how it finished off last season. Rangers at the top, Hibs and Hearts tucked in there with Motherwell. Ruffy, I don't know about you, but I did not envisage Motherwell being up there when I looked at their pre-season. But boy, they're starting to look like a team now. Yeah,
I mean, I openly admit I don't recognise the signings that he's made, but whoever's identified the signings and brought them in from obviously different countries, they look big, they look strong, they look powerful, got a lot of pace in the team, and so you had Tony Watt in the show as well. Yeah. He's got a wee lease of life now, he's in or thereabouts, and he'll score goals if he gets the same delivery. Yeah, well, to be fair, Ruffy, when we knew you were off for 2 weeks, it freed up about 12 grand in cash, so we were able to get people in, Tam. As simple as that. And you've got a new city.
That is, I'm not on the same fee as Ruffy, unfortunately, but I got a few shifts at it.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, there's been a bit of an argument. There's been a bit of a, you know, as ever on social media, he never lets go, and he's been giving Gabriel Antoniazzi, our reporter, absolute pelters for his team of the week. well, Gordon, Carter Vickers,
Somebody's
Porteous,
changed it.
Ojala, Tavernier. I don't know about you. Beningme, I thought was excellent for Hearts. Slattery, Montgomery, then Van Veen, Ajeti and O'Halloran. Are you happy with that, Tam? Do you think there's been a wee bit of jiggery pokery?
Yeah, he's changed it because he'd goss in there. We played 10 minutes and I was slaughtering him. I've never seen the boy Slattery, but I thought Joe Neal was excellent at the weekend. I know he might have been in there, but I thought Porteous played well as well.
Yeah, he did actually.
Aye.
But what about Beningme? I thought he was good. He looked the part.
Aye, he was. I thought he was a very, very good signing for Hearts, and I think this is exactly what they're needing.
Yeah.
But Martin Boyle did give him an absolute roasting, ran away from him. The one
yes.
knocked it by him.
Yeah.
So he's not the quickest, but he's a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like a Hibby to mention something that was negative about him. But I don't know about you, Ali. I mean, I like my midfielders who can stay calm in the heat of a derby, and he looked the part.
He had a bit of composure about him, didn't he? I think this can be so important. Yeah, I thought he played well.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about him leathering him. That's Tam's one. That's Hibbies for you. We know a few of them. And talking to another Hibby, Ruffy, you've been away. Yeah?
Hall of Fame, maybe.
Yeah, Hall of Fame, maybe. There you are, eh? Never forgot. You were away for a couple of weeks, but you were still posting your predictions.
Yes.
And are you happy overall when you look at the predictions? Now, have a look at the table, Ruffy.
Yes, but as my experience in this competition, I don't remember anybody who won it got a trophy or anything like that. So winning it for me isn't important. It's that bit at the bottom.
Absolutely.
And if I can keep ahead of the person who's underneath me, I'm more than happy with that.
Well, there you are. Gabriel Anjanazzi, 35. Ruffy's on 38. Tam McManus on 43, Hugh McDonald's on 44. I'm on 46 in second place, which, as you know, in Scotland, second place is nowhere. Alison McConnell still out in front.
And
what a fantastic streak. That's 3 weeks now.
Alison,
3-week streak.
You know you're going for 55 up there.
Yeah. Well done, Tam. There you are. Your thoughts on that, Ali?
Is that the first or is it the 55th?
It's your 50. You can take the flag. On you go. Fire away. Yeah, so so I'm in second place, which is fine. But Ali, the one thing that many a person, and Ruffy will know this from experience as well, if you think of the great athletes of the world, sometimes, going round the bend in first place isn't always the best place to be as the back markers start to just make a surge for the finish. So it's early days though. It's
incredibly more comfortable than where Gabs is, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're at the front, Ali, and we'll see if that continues. But listen, as you know, Ruffy, 2 or 3 correct predictions and suddenly you just catapult yourself up.
That's all you need. You just need 2.
We've
had this chat already. The weekend. I've said it before.
Yeah.
Just need to finish 5th.
Absolutely, that's all.
That's all. I'm not even looking at Alison. I'm just looking at Gabs at the bottom.
Ali did mention the fact that we maybe should put a kiddie in, but not a chance. This is it. Loser pace for everybody. Meal at night out. I do think, Ruffy, that the night out should be somewhere, a little further away from where we are in the studios. I think it should be, I think I'm looking and thinking to myself, Manchester, Liverpool, Dublin.
I'm up for that.
Somewhere where we can have a right good night out.
Algarve.
Yeah, well, maybe not at that level. What about Neil Doncaster? He's been commenting on the passport plan for the vaccine passport. This is what he had to say on this issue. To introduce something like an outer cordon with a vaccine passport check control might sound very simple, but in practice it's very difficult. It can work, but spot checking is the only practical reality. If you are expecting football clubs to vaccine passport check 30 or 40,000 people before kick-off, then it's simply not going to happen. It's not achievable realistically. Spot checking does enable clubs to put in place workable measures. I think he's spot on in this one, because it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be slow. It'll actually create an even greater wait to try and get into the stadium.
I think spot checks are the only viable way of doing it. I think logistically it's too much of a headache otherwise. But what I would say is I do think it's important too. I think if you want to keep things going as numbers rise, I think you want people to be kept as safe as possible. You want the chance to keep everyone and keep everything going. The last thing we want to see is a curtailment of numbers again.
Yeah, and down south they've changed their attitude to vaccine passports, Ruffy. I just wonder, I know we seem to, with the Scottish Government, have a kind of a definitive that it's going to happen. But to what extent, I think there needs to be a wee bit of give and take, as Ali mentioned.
Yeah, well, I think it's obviously really noticeable the difference between Scotland and England. I mean, when I was abroad there, the English people don't have any restrictions at all. They weren't wearing masks or anything abroad, whereas people from Scotland and other countries are used to. It's still a restriction where you live. We were continuing to do that, but in any of the places that there were English people, there was no evidence at all of social distancing, the masks or anything, and that's just the way the rules are.
I'm still wearing masks going into shops. I'm still wearing masks in the press box, Tam.
Yeah, I certainly was glad for it on Sunday when masks were running to time castle.
Thank you God. To be fair, you had the same that Douglas Bader was wearing, and the Spitfire as well. The goggles and the helmet on. I mean, nobody would have recognised you. But listen. I don't want to go down the road of people who don't want to wear masks. People are thinking that it affects their democratic right. We're doing it.
I don't see the problem with just sticking a mask on, going into a shop or anything like that. I just do it. I don't think it's not going to harm you. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You can give us your view on that as well. Interestingly enough, coming up, we got a wee feature. I did a wee feature on the number 7. We've got a shirt here from the official store for Ronaldo. We are going to give you the chance to win that with, of course, the programme as well. You can tell you're in the 21st century, Ruffy, because when I was down there, well, I was going to say it's £3, right? Now, I have to tell you this, Ruffy, the programme itself, we were in the queue, myself and Gordon, our cameraman, and we were in the queue thinking we're going to be able to buy a programme, and a Geordie walked up to the guy and said, "I'll take them all." And he just bought them all. And then I thought to myself, oh my gosh, he's going to try and make a killing elsewhere.
I'm going to add something to that price, because I told you I went into the Ronaldo shop in Portugal and I bought a pair of CR7 underpants. So I shall throw a pair of CR7 underpants, brand new, not used, soiled or anything, brand new out of the patic. Into the package.
Did you buy that?
Yes, I've got three pairs. Yeah.
Are you modelling? Are you modelling before they go?
No. Boxers. There's actually a photograph of them. No, outside. I was looking, going, am I large or extra large?
Did you actually buy? Well, there you are. What a prize that is now. The top, a programme and CR7 underpants. I never thought we were going to actually top that, but well done, Ruffy. Of course, you're about to find out.
Wait a minute.
I know, I didn't think you would have them on. We're about to find out exactly what happened down there at Old Trafford when I made the journey. But of course, there are other highlights. Here's the full Premier League results from England as well. It is the football show. We like to just a little nod towards England and what was happening down there. And as you can see, Crystal Palace, Ali, Odsonne Edouard comes on 25 seconds later, scores a goal.
Then another one. Absolutely incredible. I didn't think I saw bits of that game just before I had left the house to go to Fir Park. I didn't think Spurs played particularly well, but what are the odds? Just that instinctive movement, just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
2 goals, and I think it reflects well on the Scottish League. I think we all know the perception and how it's held, the esteem in which it's held. I think it doesn't do anyone any harm when you have players that leave to go down south and acquit themselves well.
I actually think Crystal Palace overpaid for him, 15 million. Because if Charlie Adam was the CEO at Celtic, they got him for 5.
Yeah, exactly. Charlie's become the man who sets the transfer window price. Listen, great result for Crystal Palace, great result for Liverpool, although I have to say, I really cringed. There are certain moments in football, Ruffy, where you look at an injury and you can't watch it again on television. And young Harvey Elliott, I think he's dislocated his ankle. And it was one of those moments, there are 2 that I can remember.
I know what one you're going to say.
Alpha Inga Haaland was one of them. There was the Coventry boy who's... David Bush, the bone was out of his, which is terrible. And Larson's over
Larson,
in there.
No, Larson for me was the one, I thought that was horrendous even to look for that. Like as when you're playing and somebody does get a nasty injury and you would go over and have a look at it, you just walk away. Because you can see there and then that that's a bad one, and it certainly, it takes a lot to come back for these injuries. And I think it's the space of time that you're out. sometimes it's a year, sometimes a year and a half, and the doubt in your mind must be, am I going to be the same player when I come back or not? So no, you don't like to see players get naked injuries.
Yeah, it was a scary one as well, and we wish the boy a speedy recovery. Liverpool, to their credit, 3-0 win. Salah joins the 100 club, scored 100 goals in the Premier League in England.
It's exceptional. I think it's an incredible record. To go back to the point you made about injuries, though, I think you can tell immediately just by the reaction of players round about them. I think Salah was the one that was right away shouting for people to come on. I think you know immediately that someone's had a very serious injury.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, elsewhere, of all those results that we were looking at there, Chelsea still look ominous, Tam. I think they're going to take some stopping. City, we know they're going to be up there, but Chelsea look good. Lukaku.
Oh, he's some player. He could be the missing link for them. I thought they were missing him last season. I think he's just going to bully defenders down there. He's a top player, and I think defensively, Chelsea are so solid. You've seen it in the games against Man City last season, so I think they're probably my favourites at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Champions League to look forward to over the next couple of days. If you get the chance to watch them, Barcelona, Bayern Munich was so unusual without Messi in the Champions League for Barcelona. You can see him in the subsequent next night, PSG taking on Bruges in Belgium. Young Boys against Manchester United, Chelsea, Zenit, Man City, Leipzig, Liverpool, AC Milan, Inter against Real Madrid on the Wednesdays, a tasty one as well. Of course, I've got to, just before we finish, talk about the game. I love the fact that we're giving away Ronaldo's pants, we're giving away the programme, we're giving away Ronaldo's top from the shop. And would you believe it? Ian McCall said, "What size is the Ronaldo shirt?" Ian, give us peace. It's an expensive shirt. I mean, at the end of the day, if you get it, Ruffy.
What you fit into it?
Oh,
you got to just make an effort.
Yeah,
it's a large.
Ian, if it's not, it is a large actually. But Ian,
you're 22 stones tough.
Yeah, Ian, if you can't get into it, get out there and start running. It's as simple as that. Before, obviously, we'll see the documentary, a little mini documentary I filmed, Ruffy, of my experience down at Old Trafford, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The game itself, it really was unbelievable. He is a phenomenon. For me, I think when he finishes his career at Manchester United, if there are more trophies on the way, I think a lot of people will look at what he's done across a number of countries and they'll be hard pushed to not think he's one of the greatest of all time, more than Messi. It's getting that close.
Yeah, well, the cups and medals are, I think in football, that's what you should be judged on. Okay, you can earn so much money out of the game, but at the end of the day, there's never a scale of, top 10 of how much money you've taken out of the game. It's about what you've done, World Cups, European medals, that kind of thing. And he's certainly up there. And his goal ratio as well. I mean, that was 2 at the weekend, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the whole build up to it, the obsession with him, and the delight that he didn't join Man City.
Oh, it's the Man United fans are jubilant at the minute, aren't they? There's such a buzz about the place. It's not been, I think, at Old Trafford for a long time. So I think getting him in just gave the whole place a lift, and it gives him a right chance to go for everything this season.
Yeah, I'm so glad I didn't ask you to go down and do the little mini doc, because obviously you wouldn't have been able to tell us what happened in the game because you'd have sold your ticket for $3,000.
I would have lied. Well, I just lied to you.
Yeah, told us what happened from match of the day. But I think it's great when we're lucky enough, as journalists and broadcasters, to go out, Alison, and see some special players. He's one of them.
I think it always feels like a privilege when you get to go and report in games like that and see players up close and personal. And I always think it's an entirely different experience when you're watching players live than it is when you're watching from TV. I just think you see a bigger picture, you see the movement, and you see so many things that you don't have access to when you're watching frames on a television screen. But you're right, I think it's a privilege. I think you should enjoy it for now when you've got Messi and Ronaldo still playing. I think just enjoy the opportunities that you have to watch them.
The good thing about it as well is now he's in England, we'll see him more often. You're going to see him every week now. You're going to see him on the telly, whereas before it was only European games or big games, what country he was in. But now it's going to be there for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, by the way, I have to tell you, I've spent a fortune on it as well. It's a large for Ian. Hopefully, Ian, that's good enough for you. Tomorrow on the programme, you'll get the chance to start. I'll give you the details on tomorrow's programme, how you can win Ronaldo's the shirt from the official Manchester United store. It's got the Champions League badge on it. It's got the Champions League badge, and over and above that, the match day programme from his return is special as well. And Ruffy's... I hope you're telling the truth,
yes,
Barry. You better have
yes.
a pair of CR7 pants. Ruffy's thrown in the pants as well. It doesn't get any better than that. If you're listening to our podcast, then obviously you're not going to be able to see the little mini doc that I put together on the journey to Old Trafford to sample the mayhem that surrounds Ronaldo. But if you are listening to the podcast, don't forget you can watch our programme too on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, become part of the football family if you can, and join us on YouTube with PLZ Soccer. There are lots more one-to-ones. Brian Rice's interview is well worthy of listening to. Brian Rice was absolutely top drawer on our programme. He's a one-to-one on our YouTube channel as well. Tomorrow we'll start to look in greater detail at the Europa League coming up, and we'll hear from not only Tam Cowan, who'll be on the show, Hugh McDonald as well. Ruffy back with us now. So there's lots to talk about over the forthcoming week. Build up to Europa League, and we'll discuss Champions League as well. From Tam McManus, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Peter Martin, I want to thank you all for watching the show. I leave you, however, with that trip to Manchester and Ronaldo, the number 7, back where he belongs.
Hi guys, it's 7:45, Saturday 11th of September 2021. I'm about to head off to Manchester, to Old Trafford, would you believe, to witness the return of the number 7. Cristiano Ronaldo made his debut for Manchester United back in August 2003. He had been signed by Sir Alex Ferguson for just around £12 million from Sporting Lisbon, and when he trotted onto the pitch with all his tricks and flicks against Bolton in a 4-0 win for Manchester United, I don't think anybody would have envisaged Ronaldo battering in 670 goals plus and counting, moving on to Real Madrid, Juventus, and eventually on this momentous day there seems to be one heck of a hullabaloo about Ronaldo's return to Manchester United. Can he create all the skills and score the goals for United to drive them to the title? I'm heading down to Old Trafford to see what all the fuss is about and catch a little bit of the excitement and the hype as the number 7 gets set to run out once more at Old Trafford.
Ronaldo coming back to us, yeah. We're going to win the league.
Very excited, aren't we? Can't wait for it, yeah. He's starting as well, which is a bonus, so.
Come on, get your official United scarf now.
He's the best player in the world, without doubt. Messi, forget about Messi.
Old Trafford has gone CR7 crazy. Everybody wants a bit of Ronaldo. I've never witnessed anything like it. In the store, they want the number 7 t-shirts. In the store, they want the Champions League t-shirt. He hasn't even played in it yet for United. And if you can't get near him on the pitch, you can always get near him in this cardboard cutout. Well, you'll never believe it. Some scripts are meant to be, and everybody was talking about the number 7. I've never witnessed anything like it. This place was incredible. It was rocking to the sound of Cristiano Ronaldo. 4-1 it finished. Manchester United rampant in the second half. In the first half it was turgid. Newcastle had set their stall out. But would you believe it? Mason Greenwood hit the shot. Jamie Woodman parried it. Who was there from a yard out? Cristiano Ronaldo, and the roof came off Old Trafford. In the second half, I don't think Newcastle had read the script. Actually, Javier Manquillo actually scored an equaliser when he was set in there by the brilliant Alan St Maximin. But the day belonged to Ronaldo. Luke Shaw played him in, and then he just picked a shot from his left foot, as soon as it left the boot, in the back of the net, and this place went absolutely crazy. Ronaldo absolutely owned it. And then, would you believe, another Portuguese star scored a screamer from 20 yards. Bruno Fernandes rifled it into the roof of the net for a great goal. And the icing on the cake was a goal from Jesse Lingard. Lovely bit of passing play, and he curled the ball into the bottom corner of the net. An unbelievable day. He did live up to the hype. The CR7 was the man of the moment. The day belonged to Cristiano Ronaldo. This is one day I'll not forget in a hurry. Manchester United 4, Newcastle United 1.